Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos on lesson content.
Got no place to be, got no place to go. Come hang out with me on the Mr. Flanders Show.
Hello everyone. Mr. Flanders here, back at it again with our math for the week. We are kicking off week 6, looking at guided class practice 123. And as you notice, I've already started on it a little bit. That is because we are going to be using pictures for our first question. Now, if you were doing this in Class Dojo, your pictures are going to look a little different than mine, especially for this particular question. I decided to use playing cards for you guys because I could not find books with pages. Now, why do books with pages really matter? Well, that is because our first question is dealing with books and pages, or rather, pictures. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and look at our first question and get started. Number 1. 5 children in Mrs. O'Neill's class made books. So 5 children made books. Each book had 3 pictures. How many pictures did the children draw altogether? Now, you will notice I have 1 group, 2 group, 3 groups, 4 groups, and 5 groups. Those are to represent the 5 children and their books, okay? Now, in each group, there is a picture. There is 1, 2, 3 pictures, okay? So there are 5 groups of 3 pictures. So go ahead and take a second and draw those groups if you need. Remember, you are making 5 groups of 3, and I just did squares for mine. You can do circles for yours, you can do rectangles for yours, but make sure you're doing 5 groups of 3. And while you're doing that, I'm going to work on the number sentence. Our number sentence is 5 times 3. We are multiplying on this particular problem. So 5 times 3 equals blank. Our product is going to be the amount of pictures altogether. Okay? Let's go ahead and we can just count the squares, I guess, on my page to see what that is going to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So the kids drew 15 pictures altogether. Now, usually altogether means add. That is what I've told you guys. But in this context, we're using altogether along with our grouping to make it a multiplication problem. Okay? So how many pictures did the children draw altogether? They drew 15 pictures altogether. And what we're going to do is write 15 pictures, because that is our answer. Okay? Go ahead and take a moment, finish that up. And while you're doing that, we're going to learn a little bit of a new concept. Now, last week we started talking about arrays, and we are going to be focusing on arrays in a different part of this worksheet in a little bit. But a new concept we're going to be learning this week is what a quarter means for a clock. Now, when you're dealing with money, a quarter is 25 cents. Okay, and a dollar is broken into 4 quarters. All right, 4 quarters make $1. Well, for a clock, we can sort of do the same thing. You'll notice I've got a clock right here. I'm going to split this clock into 4 parts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line from the 12 to the 6. That'll put our clock in half, and then you'll notice that this half right here already has a line going through it, so I'm also going to draw a line right here. Now pay attention to where the arrows are. We've got our 1 arrow, our hour hand arrow here, moving from the 4 to the 5. But it's not quite on the 5 yet. So we're still in the 4 o'clock hour. And then you'll notice our second arrow, our minute hand arrow, is pointing to the 9. Well, so if it's the minute hand arrow, or the minute hand in general, and it's pointing at one of our numbers, that means it's counting by 5s. So that is not actually a 9, that would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So our time would be 4:45. But as you can see, that is not what they're asking. They're not asking for the specific time. Instead, it says circle the time shown on the clock, and it gives us 4 choices. It is a quarter past 4, a quarter to 4, a quarter to 5, or a quarter past 5. Now, our clock is broken into 4 parts. This is our first quarter, right here. This is our second quarter. This is our third quarter. This is our fourth quarter. Okay? Now, if our minute hand, which is right here, was pointing at the 3, that would be a quarter past 4, because we've moved from here into the 4 o'clock hour with our minute hand. But that's not what's happening. Our minute hand is here, and it's moving up to the 12. That means that we are in the 4 o'clock hour, but we are moving into the 5 o'clock hour, because every time the minute hand moves, that causes the hour hand to move. And as we get closer to that 12, this hour hand is getting closer to the 5. So it would be actually a quarter to 5. Okay? So I'm going to circle a quarter to 5, because we are moving from this quarter mark up to the new hour, because once our minute hand hits that 12, it starts a new hour, and our hour hand will be on the 5. So that is a quarter to 5. I know it gets a little confusing. We're going to practice it a little bit more in another worksheet in just a minute. But for now, go ahead and finish that up. Okay. No need to take too much time on that one. Number 3. Fill in the missing numbers in these number patterns. Okay, you'll notice that our number patterns are pretty heavy this week, guys. This one doesn't look like we're counting by 5s or 10s. We are actually counting by 25s. Okay, so we've got 25, 50. Okay, so we've added 25 to get 50. If we add another 25, we'd get 75. If we added another 25, we would actually be at 100. Okay? And that's basically $1 right there. So we've got quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, boom. 4 quarters equals $1, or 100 pennies, if you guys wanted to think of it like that. But now if we're adding another 25, we don't have to worry about doing a whole addition problem. Instead of writing our zeros out, we would write our 1 and then a 25 right there. Okay? And then our pattern begins to repeat. So what came after 25 over here? Well, it was 50. So what would be after 125 over here? Well, that would be 150. Okay? What number was after 50 over here? It was 75. So what number would be after 150 over here? That would be 175. And then if you notice, after 75 over here, that's when we jump to the 100. So what number would be after 175? It wouldn't be 100. It would be 200. Okay? And if we're continuing to look at our pattern, you'll see that when we moved from 100 and added a 25 to it, it became 125. So if we added 25 to this 25 pattern, okay, to this 200, it would be 225. Okay? Make sure you're looking out for those patterns. All right. The second part of our number pattern is dealing with, it looks like, let's see, we've got 44, 54, 64. We're dealing with tens. So we have to figure out which tens come this way and go that way. Okay? So let's go ahead and start counting backwards first, and then we'll work forwards. So we got 64, take away 10, that'd be 54. Take away 10, that'd be 44. Take away 10, that would be 34. And if we took another 10 away, that would be 24. And then what other 10 would it be if we took that away? It would be 14. All right. I know that these numbers are 34, 24, and 14 because if I was to look at 44 and add 10 to it, it would just be 54. And if I added 10 to 54, it would be 64. So if I added 10 to 64, what would this one be? It would be 74. And if I added 10 to this one, it would be 84. And then what would our last number be? It would be 94. Okay, as you can see, we counted by tens, but we didn't do our normal 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It was 14, 24, 34, 44, 54, 64, 74, 84, 94. Okay? Got to be careful with these patterns, guys. They can trick you. And on B side, you're going to have a similar pattern, so make sure you're paying attention. Okay. Number 4. Number 4 is going to deal a little bit with basically just guessing. So let's see if we can guess the right way. Number 4. Lauren has 6 red socks. She has 12 white socks and 4 black socks in her drawer. If she takes out one sock without looking, which of these colors is she most likely to get? So she's got 6 red socks, 12 white socks, and 4 black socks. Think about what number is the biggest. Okay, that would be the number 12. And you've got some red socks and some black socks. But if Lauren was to stick her hand into a drawer without looking and just pull out one sock, she would most likely pull a sock that has the bigger number. So our bigger number is 12. So she might pull out a white sock. So that would be our guess. She would probably pull out the white sock. Okay? Which of these colors would she most likely pull out? White. We're just going to put white. Okay? And we're going to start dealing with guessing some more on the back side of this worksheet, as well as our next guided class practice later this week. So be on the lookout for that. And just remember, the bigger the number is, the more likely you're going to pull out a sock or a piece of candy or something from that big number. Okay. Number 5. Circle the number sentence for this array. Now, I did tell you guys earlier we were going to be running into arrays again. Now remember, we're dealing with columns and rows for our array. Now it's going to give us some choices for how to best write a number sentence for our array. Our choices are 3 plus 6 equals 9, 3 times 6 equals 18, 15 plus 3 equals 18, or 6 times 6 equals 36. The first thing we should do is look at our rows. We've got 1, 2, 3 rows. So I'm going to write 1, 2, 3. 3 rows. How many columns do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if you remember from last week when we were talking about arrays, you'll notice that you'll remember that we did use the multiplication sign, because it could be multiplication or by. That's what we were doing with our worksheets last week. Here, we're going to treat it as a multiplication problem. So if we have 3 times 6, what would that be? The easiest way to figure that out would just be to count the squares in our array. So let's go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 3 times 6 equals 18. So do we have that choice up here? 3 times 6 equals 18? We do. It is right here. We're going to circle that one. And that would be the best answer to complete our number sentence for this array. Okay? Now, as we move on to the last part of our worksheet, you'll notice that it has 3 blank spots for us to write our questions. Now, if you're doing this in Google Classroom, you will not be doing that. Instead, you will just be using that area to type in the answer. Instead, I would like you to grab a scratch piece of paper and then work the problem out along with us to get the correct answer. Okay? We're going to do our first question, 82 take away 43. So I'm going to write 82 take away 43. 2 take away 3 is what, guys? Well, remember, if I have 2, I can't take 3 away. If I've got 2 fingers, can I take 3 fingers away? No, because I've only got the 2. So what we're going to need to do is regroup. Cross out that 7. I'm sorry, cross out that 8. Make it a 7. And make this 2 a 12. Now, what is 12 take away 3? It would be 9. What is 7 take away 4? That would be 3. So we now know 82 take away 43 is 39. Good work. Okay, now we're going to write 91 plus 72 plus 38. Okay, 91 plus 72 plus 38. We're going to do 1 plus 2, that equals 3. And then 3 plus 8 equals 11. So we're going to put the 1 there. We're going to carry the 10. Boom. So now we've got 9 plus 7 equals 16. 16 plus 3 equals 19. And then 19 plus 1 equals 20. Boom. So 91 plus 72 plus 38 equals 201. Good work. And now for our last problem on this worksheet, I'm going to start off by putting a money sign down here where the answer will go, because as you can see, we are dealing with money. And particularly, we are dealing with dollar signs, not cents signs. We're going to write $4.72 plus $2.19. Now remember, our dollars are to the left of the decimal, and our cents are to the right of the decimal. Okay? So let's look first at the right part over here, all the way to the right. We've got 2 plus 9. Well, 2 plus 9 is 11. Okay. What is 7 plus 1, everybody? That is 8. And we got 8 plus 1 is 9. Then we're going to bring down our decimal point. And then we've got 4 plus 2. 4 plus 2 equals 6. So $4.72 plus $2.19 equals $6.91. Good work. That was really good work, guys. Okay, that is going to be the end of this part of our lesson. In just a moment, we're going to jump over to working on practicing with our clocks, because we're going to be doing a little bit more with this quarter past, quarter to stuff. But if you have any questions, comments, or concerns with this worksheet, please let me know. Otherwise, A side is for here, and B side is for homework, everybody. Yay! All right, guys, I'm going to get running. I'll see you in the next part of the lesson. As always, I miss you. Stay safe, stay positive, and stay hysterical. Hello, everyone. We meet again here during our math lesson. And this is the quarter past, quarter to, quarter after, quarter before, whatever worksheet you want to call it, but it's the one I warned you about in our lesson just a few moments ago. We are looking at clocks today, and we are talking about breaking the clock into quarters. Now, if you remember during the lesson just a moment ago, I did just that. I took a clock and I split it into 4 parts. That is because, just like $1, a clock can be split into 4 parts. Okay, and I'm going to do that with our first clock right here. You'll notice that the minute hand is already in one spot, so I'm not going to worry about drawing a line up. Our hour hand is pointing directly at 7, so we know that it is going to be 7 o'clock. Okay, but we are going to split our clock into 4 parts. We're going to draw a line to the 6, and we're going to draw a line from the 9 to the 3. Okay, that is a terrible, terrible line. It's not even straight. It's not even. Don't give me your judgment. I already feel it. Okay? Okay. Regardless, our clock is now split into 4 parts. We've got quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. Now, if our minute hand here was to move to the 3, we would say it would be either 7:15 or a quarter past 7. Okay? If our minute hand was to move all the way to the 6, we would say it is 6:30. There is no quarter statement to be made for the 6. We would just say 7:30. Or we would say 7:30. If our minute hand was pointing directly at the 9, we would say it's either 7:45 or it is a quarter to 8, because our hour hand is moving to the 8. And once the minute hand gets back up to that 12, it would be the 8 o'clock hour. So it's a quarter to 8. Okay. For now, though, we'll notice, as I've already said, our hour hand is pointing directly at the 7. Our minute hand is pointing at the 12. That means it is only the 7 o'clock hour. So we're just going to write 7, 0, 0. Okay. And if you're doing this in Google Classroom, you'll notice there are 2 boxes. You're going to write the hour in one hand and the minute in the other. Okay. I know that our minute hand is pointing at the 12, but that does not mean that that is 12. Okay. It is the start of a new hour, and at the top of the clock, it is always 0, 0. Okay. The next clock we're going to look at is this clock right here. Now, I'm going to split this clock into 4 parts again to look for the quarters. Okay, so we're going to draw a line from the 12 to the 6, and we've already got our minute hand pointing at the 3. I'm going to draw a line from the 9 to the middle right there. Now, you'll notice that our hour hand is still mostly by the 7. It's not directly on it, it's not pointing directly to it, but it's still pretty close by it. And that means we are still in the 7 o'clock hour. So that means I know my hour is going to be 7, so I'm going to write my hour already there. We are then going to look at our minute hand. Our minute hand is pointing at the 3. Now remember, if it is the minute hand, that is not a 3. Okay, that would be 15, because we would count by 5s. 5, 10, 15. Okay, that is also a quarter past. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to write 7:15, and then actually right here I'm going to write quarter past. Okay, it is a quarter past because my minute hand is on the 3, and we're still in this first area right here. This is the first quarter. This would be the second quarter, but we don't need to say second quarter. We would actually say half past at this point. Okay? Now, we're going to move up the clock. Okay? And we're going to look at this clock right here, number 3. Now, number 3, you'll notice that the hour hand is basically in between the 7 and the 8. Now, is it on the 8 or past the 8 yet? No, it is not. So our hour is still in the 7 o'clock hour because it is past the 7, but it is not to the 8 yet. So we know our hour is going to be 7. Okay. Now, our minute hand is on the 6. Now, we don't need to worry about quarters here because you can't say it's a 7:30. That's a quarter to something something something. No. Anytime our minute hand is at the 6 here, it is always halfway to the new hour. It is also, anytime our minute hand is on the 6, that is 30 because we are counting by 5 until we get to the minute hand. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So our time is going to be 7:30. We're not dealing with a quarter here because it is halfway to the new hour. So we're going to say half past. Okay? Half past. Okay? And then our last clock here, number 4, we're going to split it into 4 parts. And then our minute hand is already at the 9. Okay. Let's look at our hour first. Our hour hand is still between the 7 and the 8. It's getting closer to the 8, but it's not quite touching it yet. So that means we're still in the 7 o'clock hour. So we're going to write 7 here. And then our minute hand is pointing at the 9. Now remember, if our minute hand is pointing at one of the big numbers, it is not that number. We have to count by 5 until we get to that number. Okay? Here we go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Our minute hand is pointing at the 9, which would be 45 if we counted by 5s. Okay. Now, the question is, are we dealing with a quarter past 7? Are we dealing with a quarter to 7? Or are we dealing with a quarter to 8? Now, since our clock is moving from the 7 o'clock hour to the 8 o'clock hour, and we are a quarter away from the new hour, this would be a quarter to 8. So what we're going to write down here is quarter to. Quarter to. Now I know it can be a bit confusing. I don't expect you guys to get all of this during this first lesson dealing with this specifically, but I would like to see you guys practice on B side. Okay? In the B side, you'll be dealing with the 5 o'clock hour. Okay? For a few of these anyways. For a couple of the other ones, you'll be dealing with like the 9 o'clock hour. So just be on the lookout for that. Wow, it's really blurry. Hang on. Okay. So yeah, for this side, I want you guys to just practice what you can. Make sure you're paying attention to where the hour hand is, where the minute hand is. If you need to split your clock into 4s or into quarters, that is absolutely okay. I know you cannot necessarily do that in Google Classroom. What I would like you to do is just try your best. Okay, if you need to draw a circle on a piece of paper and even make your own little clock, excuse me, that is okay. But what I would really encourage, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns with this, please let me know, either on ClassDojo or Flipgrid, so that way I can give you a little bit more insight into it as much as I can. With all of this out of the way, though, that is the end of Lesson 123 today. that is the end of the first part of our math lesson in general for the whole week. So good job for you guys. And I'm going to head on out of here and see you in the next lesson later. Take it easy.